AI market started with some big movements at market open and then sold off. We saw some manipulation pre-market, and now we're looking at BBAI as it started to make this recovery. Now, a while back, we were making a breakdown of BigBear.AI, and we were saying that this support here was critical, that it bounced at $6, and that it can break out. If we have our drawings here we are. Break out up to here. So we traded it the day before yesterday from $6 up to about $7, sold it, and then we are looking for this trade here from about $7 up to about $8, and it is continuing some of that momentum. So Big Bear's in that movement. They're kind of finding that support. They were able to save grace here and not continue this overall downtrend that we started to see kick in. And now, if we just kind of go back and we look at the growth, we've seen that we started covering it back around $1 a share up to $10 a share from October until February, and then selling off with the greater market since April. We've seen that recovery kick in, and now we see the recovery start to get to these highs. You see $8 a share kick back down as low as $6, and now we're looking at this recovery here and seeing it break back above. So kind of looking at this near term level here, this previous support and resistance at about 750, that's where it's targeting. It does have a support at about $6.75 here, but what we're looking for on the info line, something like this 29% increase or more. Can it happen? Is it likely to happen? I couldn't tell you, but I can tell you that the news has been great. The sentiment around the stock has been great. The financials have not, and that's the main thing that people are waiting for. And by not being great, it's not like a, blood in the streets moment where the financials look so bad or anything like that. And it's not like a turnaround company that we're finding, like something like that. It's one that, Warren Buffett says they buy the value, not the price. For a while, we've been really buying the value and seeing some increases in revenue gradually over the course of 2024. They did dip a little bit in March 2025, announcing that some of their contracts were expected that they were seeing that revenue, but that the actual dollar amounts hadn't hit their bank account. So that was why we saw a slight dip. They saw a net income negative there in December, but that was as a result of really them reducing their debt. You see, they reduced their debt down. Total liabilities dropped below 200 million, with their total assets at 400 million. So their balance sheet, it's not, I would say, bad. It's more disciplined now. It's actually looking good from the income perspective. It's not great, nor is it very good, or even good. I would say it's fair. And if they come in with, let's say, $50 million in revenue, which might even put them positive on a net income if they get back into these levels, unless they pay down more debt or something like that. That revenue above 50 million, something like that, could really kick them into gear. So this morning, when we were trading, we didn't really enter Big Bear on any short term. I have some long-term positions at $2.80 that we've held through some serious volatility since 2024 up into 2025 at $10 back down to, whatever that was, $2.30. So long term, I continue to hold, but take a look. Portfolio is up 7% today. A lot of gains that we locked in early in the morning too. We had some trades going and I sold pre-market, but what it was too, two trades notably that we got going. Tesla has seen some nice recoveries. We're up $422 today on this smaller trade on TSLL. So that's been nice. We're looking for that robotaxi to kick in. They've been silently building a lot of value, I believe, in the marketplace, and we're going to see their stock continue to rally, I believe, regardless of market conditions. I think it's seeing that sentiment build. Redwire, same deal. They're a space company that we've been following for a while and has come out with some really good contracts recently as being one of the 13 companies selected for a $2.7 billion contract. And their market cap, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is just around $1 or $2 billion. So they're smaller, but they got potentially some nice revenues coming in. So we were trading them. And then the other trade We were watching inside of Stockmate this morning which companies were reporting earnings, which we have every week. And we had ASML pre-market this morning. So one of the things in Stockmate is you get pre-market and after hours, which companies are reporting. Tomorrow we got pre-market Taiwan Semi. But one of the indicators was ASML. ASML came in with fairly good earnings, really not too bad. They're a company that specializes in semiconductors, and their stock, while they've come in with fairly okay earnings, revenue's been in between $6 and $10 billion per quarter, annually about 28 billion. With disciplined balance sheet here, we see them as a good opportunity. So we ended up seeing that they had dropped at market open about 10% after earnings. So that was 20% over on ASMG. So we bought the dip, and that one's up about 142 bucks. So we got a few trades going. We got some profits locked in. Things are rolling. I don't know how the greater AI market looks like overall. We're seeing good green. We saw some sell off after a spike at market open and things went red, but looks like things are turning around here into the morning. So, or I guess afternoon on the East Coast. Now you got BigBear.AI finding support at $6, bouncing up to 650, 675, and now holding above those ranges. We're going to be watching this target here at 670 up into this previous resistance level at 675 somewhere, or 775, excuse me. And it's about a 10% margin from where we started. We're looking for also maybe that continuation, that 21% increase to highs. I think it's less likely we see that happen right now. Part of the reason is even though they got the VeriScan deployed into dozens of airports, this technology here that is really a result of them expanding into the markets with the Department of Defense, working with TSA, working with the Pentagon, working with a lot of different border security. You got border and customs, homeland security, and even directly with the airports and airlines and ports of entry. You're looking at what is a deployment of their technology, and that's kind of why we're looking at maybe some bullish sentiment. They haven't released anything in a little bit. The last thing we got to see was that they verified the different airports at which they were distributing their technology. They're bringing a lot of value. You know, if they're in terminals, one thing to note, when I was in Denver International Airport, you might think, okay, so they get 4 or 5 scanners at the TSA. It's probably not going to bring them that much revenue, or maybe it's a couple million for them, which maybe doesn't heat up too much because they're making 30 to 50 million per quarter, so it's not that big, right, for each airport. But what I found interesting was when I was traveling and we were looking at these new airports that they're getting into. One of the reasons why is Kevin McAleenan, the CEO. Previously, he was on U.S. Department of Homeland Security and was the founder of Pangiam, which was bought by Big Bear. He was the commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, so he has all those connections, right? That's how they're getting the distribution. But one of the things is in that distribution, when we were at Denver International Airport, it wasn't like they were only at TSA, at the security. They're also having these VeriScans put at the individual gates of the airlines for passengers that are going on the airlines. I don't know if they have a deal maybe with data that has to do with data. I'm not really sure with the airlines, but then you look at, okay, it's not just a few scanners. You got dozens of gates, sometimes hundreds of gates that are at each of these airports that if they're expanding to could be actually some really large deals for them. And they're not only in the software side of things with some of their deals that they are using their own software and also have a partnership with Palantir, but the thing that probably is an advantage is they have the hardware that's going into these airports here, this VeriScan here. So not just TSA, but direct to the airports. I think the data is going to be a big key, and they continue to hold this level. Can we see them pull back? It is quite possible. That's why we're watching the support at 680 or about $7 a share. That's why we also would love to see it break out of that downtrend. So maybe consolidate here, possibly until earnings, but we're going to be watching it here on a day-to-day basis. And if you guys would like to see our daily live trading, how we trade, and what goes into finding a good deal, then right now you could join Stockmates. It's the second link in the description. As I mentioned, we went live this morning. That was kind of our trading that we were doing. But we go live every day, Monday through Friday at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. You get an email 15 minutes before, along with all those targets that I mentioned, along with a community of like-minded individuals that all invest in companies. I get people that say, Will, why don't you use Discord? It's because here people have to publish actual really good data, really like solid stuff. And so there's links, there's different studies that members post, and I read them all. And I'll tell you, some of the stuff that I share in videos, we originate from some of the very in-depth analysis that some of our members produce. And so just keep that in mind. You got all these. And also just got to give the shout out to David one more time, as it was just about a week and a half, or I guess 2 weeks ago, 100% all-time returns in 4 months. I love to see it. He's working on quitting in the job at Amazon. He's doubled his portfolio by staying disciplined and applying some of the strategies that he's learning. He says, thanks, and everything's appreciated. He's one of our members here in Stockmate, one of the top performers. I just say that so you guys know, if you're learning, you're trying to get there, technicals, fundamentals, everything else, you get the learning, but also the daily live trading happening tomorrow morning if you want to tune in. It is recurring, but you get lifetime access in the second link below. And also, I'll send you a free t-shirt, and I will personally give you a phone call. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts on BigBear.AI down below as we stay up to date with its movement. And do consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.